What if I told you that the year's most explosive audio leak was released unfiltered, unedited, and never intended for public consumption? Yes, exactly. Jim Jones didn't simply barge backstage and remain silent because he was still in disbelief. At Chrissy's unexpected wedding announcement, oh no, the audience may have seen the cameras cease rolling, but the microphones continued to operate. And now the internet is on fire as the unadulterated truth, anger, heartache, and hatred have all leaked out. Jim Jones doesn't hold back in this audio leak. He specifically names Chrissy's spouse. He pulls him along in the muck. He lets loose years of suppressed remorse, jealousy, and treachery. And if it ever airs in its entirety, sources are calling it career death since it's all caught on such an unvarnished tape. However, the video has already leaked. It's being replayed by fans. It is being dissected by blogs. Twitter is ablaze. Was everyone afraid of a breakdown like this? Or was it when Jim finally revealed the information that the producers had been attempting to hide for years? This is the worst part. The guy at the heart of this mayhem, Chris's spouse, could not be the pure new beginning she portrayed him as. According to sources, he is concealing information that might completely change the course of the story. Only reality television now. This is a real-time spiral in life. You won't think of Chrissy or her new marriage the same way after listening to what Jim said on that leaked tape. The web is still in shock. I mean, reeling, too. According to sources, this is the most startling mic leak in the history of reality TV. Imagine this. The lights on stage are dim. Jim Jones leaves the scene, without saying much to the cameras, as Chrissy makes her shocking wedding announcement. He appeared composed, almost too composed. Supporters believed he had accepted the situation, perhaps even swallowed it. However, they were unaware no one was meant to be aware that his microphone was still operational. In the midst of that gloom, Jim Jones erupted in the backstage corridor with an unbridled fury that producers had been attempting to hide for more than 10 years. And now there is a leak of that audio. Already, 14 seconds of pure venom have gone viral. It's the entire clip. According to insiders, is around 5 minutes long. It's 5 minutes that have the potential to ruin friendships, reputations, and even Chrissy's recently announced marriage. Jim is the first to pace. The sound of his boots scraping the floor is audible. It's like a man bearing the burden of treachery. He walked with heavy, uneven steps. He mutters to himself in a low voice at first. Then it cracks sharper and louder. That clown was her true husband. That's the man. She chose that person over me. There is no denying the suffering. Then it changes, though. Something darker is. Captured in the sounds, Jim challenges Chrissy's choice head-on rather than merely raising doubts about it. He begins attacking her husband, labeling him a supporting character, attempting to usurp my throne, and depicting him in harsh, derisive detail. A guy developed by borrowed swagger and brunch dates. Twitter was enraged by that sentence alone. Fans slowed it down, memed it, and repeated it. However, it wasn't even that bad. Based on insider information leaked by Jim's tirade in the production room transcends any wounded pride. He begins revealing the names of people with links in the industry, whispering secrets about Chrissy's new husband's past, and hinting at a past that the public was never meant to learn. Jim claims in the leaked excerpt that he had been present. He had been waiting for me to slide by, constantly circling in the cut. She was aware of it. She allowed him to stay. She allowed him to go close. Do you realize that's really explosive? If Jim is correct, this isn't a frenzied romance that Chrissy just threw upon the public. Years in the planning, this might be a betrayal of a secret plot that the makers purposefully avoided showing. This is where it becomes even juicier. Anonymous individuals claiming to be close to the cast started sending direct messages with receipts, old photo screenshots, hazy backdrops from Love and Hip Hop recordings, and reports of Chrissy and this mysterious man being spotted long before the wedding reveal within hours of the leak. One fan displayed a freeze frame from a 2014 reunion show in which a man in the crowd had a striking resemblance to the spouse in question. Another discovered an Instagram remark from a burner account that was connected to him, which included mysterious fire emojis beneath Chrissy's old photos. Abruptly, the internet had a hypothesis. Had this man been observing, anticipating, and scheming to get into Chrissy's life all along? Did Jim know if that was the case? Is he suspicious? Is this the reason his tirade backstage felt so angry and personal? The insults are not the end of the footage. Jim apparently had a complete breakdown, oscillating between sadness and wrath. He continues, "After all I gave her, after all I built, she went and tied herself to him." At one point, his voice trailing off, nearly cracking. "I get that for my loyalty." It's destruction, not just rage. The destruction that results when someone who always believed he would have the last say suddenly learns he doesn't. Fans heard it too. They sensed it. It was brilliantly summed up in one Twitter statement that went viral. "That isn't the rapper, Jim. That is Jimmy the man, shattered, resentful, and hurt." However, just as viewers believed the video had peaked, emotionally, the tone became deadly. He ceased his pacing. "You can hear the hesitation and stillness before I reveal details about him that she is unaware of or doesn't wish to know." The entire civilization is rocked by that cliffhanger. The producers are in a frenzy. Within an hour of the tape surfacing, there was an emergency meeting, according to 2 leaks from within VH1's editing room. Executives fear that the complete recording will be made public. Why? Because this isn't just reality TV drama anymore. If Jim actually has dirt on Chrissy's spouse and he revealed it in his backstage tirade, this is scandalous. This is destroying one's reputation. However, the internet burrows deeper the more governments try to limit it. Globally, hashtags like #JimAK and #ChrisYsHusband are popular. His voice is looped over languid cinematic music. In TikTok edits, celebrities are also contributing. Remy Ma tweeted something mysterious. "Mic is constantly on. Why? I remain prepared." In a blog post on the leak, Cardi B included a laughing emoji. 50 Cent reportedly uploaded and removed a joke about Jim trying out for Love and Hip Hop. Heartbreak Edition, despite the fact that he never won the Miss Messy controversy. However, not all of the responses were amusing. After being quiet since her wedding announcement, Chrissy eventually made contact. Within hours of the recording, appearing on the websites, fans saw that she had unfollowed Jim. The caption for the picture she shared showed her hand flashing the wedding band. And it said, "Solid, where it matters." Not overt, yet powerful. Was that a warning or a retort? Or a statement that she isn't looking back, regardless of what Jim says? According to sources, Chrissy's spouse, who is still a bit of a mystery to the general public, was incensed upon learning of the leak. According to an unnamed person close to the production, he addressed the producers right away and demanded that they clear things up before they become worse. However, the secret is out. Let's face it, there is no end in sight to this narrative. This is the most unsettling aspect. An individual who claims to have heard the entire 5-minute audio claims that Jim did more than simply make fun of Chrissy's spouse. He was purportedly accused by Kay of betraying him, of double-crossing, and of actions that go beyond friendships to include allegiance to the street, business, and money. "You want my seat?" He doesn't only want her. According to reports, Jim stated, "It won't only be a scandal if that sentence ever leaks in its entirety. It might create a feud." By the conclusion of the leaked excerpt, it had spread well beyond hip-hop and love. Jim is gasping for air, muttering to himself, and then rushing away. The slamming of the door is audible. In the background, you can hear crew workers whispering. "Even is his mic still on?" was said by 1K. The clip ends then, but the harm has already been done. The internet believes that this is just the beginning. Additionally, Jim's job, Chrissy's marriage, and perhaps the program itself may never be able to recover if the rest leaks. At that point, part 1 ends with one unresolved question that is more pressing than the actual leak. When the camera stopped rolling but the microphone remained hot, what else did Jim Jones say? The whole internet appeared to be a war the morning following the audio release. Like flames, comment sections were blazing. Hundreds of posts were threaded on Twitter. Blogs were updating their feeds with fresh insider information every hour, while TikTok producers were lip-syncing Jim's statements with dramatic reenactments. Chrissy's new husband was already at the heart of what had turned from a private breakdown into a public trial. Jim's grief wasn't simply being laughed at by the world. They were investigating the man who allegedly took the lady he had claimed as his own. Supporters began to play detective. They slowed down video, zoomed into backdrops, and examined side profiles while pulling old reunion films, party pictures, and blurry paparazzi images. Then, unfortunately, a still image from a 2015 LHNY afterparty that is hazy but unmistakable. Emily B and Chrissy are positioned front and center. However, a man wearing a low Caesar cut and white button-up is almost cropped out in the distant backdrop. That man remarkably resembles Chrissy's spouse, who had just entered her life. The hashtags #CHRI single quotes as shadows, and hashtag he was always there began trending his face and froze the picture. If it wasn't enough to ignite the culture, the blogs added fuel to the flames. What appeared to be direct messages from Jim's anonymous relative were shared on a popular gossip website. It was a direct message. We were all aware that she continued. To communicate with him, Jimmy simply dismissed it as unimportant. I suppose not. The story was turned on its head by that single leak. Fans had been making fun of Jim's weakness up until that point, mocking him for finally taking responsibility after years of dragging Chrissy along. However, individuals were now asking an alternative query. Was this a treachery that was planned all along, right beneath his nose? Fans began to believe Jim when he yelled that he had been circling and waiting for me to slip, giving his audio a sudden context. Receipts are popular on the internet, and they were beginning to accumulate. Screenshots from burner accounts going all the way back to 2018 showed what seemed to be Chrissy's alleged spouse placing fire emojis beneath her photos. As if that weren't enough, previous interview footage reappeared in which Chrissy jokingly referred to an old buddy who was always there for her while others weren't. Supporters stopped the video, slowed it down, and vowed that the background laughter matched the mystery. Chrissy, on the other hand, remained quite silent. Her quiet started to speak for itself. Jim was posting cryptic lines and moaning about treachery as he was falling apart. Chrissy only shared pictures from curated.com. Her ring hand, a picture of champagne, and the words "peace is priceless" as the caption. Supporters were split. She had finally chosen herself and was done playing the victim, according to half who commended her poise. The other half accused her of being manipulative and of grinning while planning a betrayal. The disarray was further made worse by the division in the culture. Then the next shocking audio clip appeared. Later that evening, another clip surfaced. Online, this one is considerably more destructive, longer, and sharper. Jim said in a low, grave voice that she believed he could keep her safe. He is unable to defend himself. I am aware of his origins. I am aware of his actions. She is playing with a man who has louder skeletons than I have. Like a bullet, that line struck. In a matter of minutes, speculations were flying. What was Jim trying to say? Did the world not know about Chrissy's new husband's past? Was this only resentful jealousy? Or was Jim teasing a secret that would cause her new marriage to fail? An unnamed production assistant claimed to have heard the raw audio before it ever began by slipping into a gossip page's inbox. Jim implied, in their opinion, that Chrissy's husband was more than simply an old buddy. His connections to commercial, Transactions, illicit wealth, and allegiances made it difficult to distinguish between his personal and professional lives. Lawsuits would fly if VH1 ever aired it. It makes him look dirty, the insider wrote. It appears worse because of it. Twitter was a battlefield at this point. Fans were doing more than merely chatting. They were debating as though they were in a court of law. Believers of #Team Jim said Chrissy had deceived him by having an affair behind his back with a man he had earlier regarded as a member of his social circle. Supporters of #Team Chrissy retorted that Jim was rewriting history to stroke his bruised ego and was resentful and envious. Then there were the impartial supporters who merely enjoyed some popcorn while relaxing. Postin writing and memes. Scripts are no longer necessary for hip-hop and love. They write themselves. However, the narrative would not end there. Celebrities began to comment. 50 Cent, who is always the one to stir trouble, shared a meme of Jim appearing broken with the message, "This is what happens when you play house too long." Before being removed, the post had almost 500,000 likes. When Remy Ma went live, she added, "Ladies, don't let any man waste your years. But don't let your peace turn into payback without mentioning names. That is a risky game." Her remarks were instantly associated with Chrissy by fans. Cardi B tweeted, "Mike's always on, laughing. You all had better use sign language when whispering." Fat Joe even shared a mysterious Instagram tale. Sometimes loyalty doesn't pay the bills. However, treachery also doesn't create a future. Every post response and meme added gasoline to the flames. Jim was no longer only battling Chrissy. He was battling against his legacy's whole story. Jim and Chrissy were the quintessential hip-hop and love pair for more than 10 years. Imperfect, untidy, passionate, yet genuine. Now, overnight, that blueprint had been torn up and set on fire, replaced with a plot that made him appear abandoned and resentful, and her look powerful but possibly conniving. Producers were in full crisis mode behind the scenes. A leaked email exchange that inexplicably surfaced on the blog's claims that the network discussed whether to make the entire audio available or to put it in oblivion. According to reports, one executive wrote, "This is dynamite. Ratings are excellent, but we're done if the husband files a lawsuit." Another said, "The entire tape is not necessary." Already, the fans are drawing their own judgments. Allow the chaos to take care of itself. Yes, it is the unsavory reality of reality television. The tale doesn't always need to be manipulated by the producers. All the work is done by the leaks. This is where things became more frightening, though. In an Instagram stream that lasted 6 minutes, Jim Jones himself broke his silence. His eyes were bloodshot, his cheeks were swollen, and he said they were haunting. "She is aware that I was genuine, even if I wasn't flawless. Not performing. For the cameras. What are you all hearing?" That's when I realized who I could trust the most. She had a plan B and possibly a plan C already. He leaned closer, looking into the camera, and said, "I know who he is," as his voice broke. "I am aware of what he has done, and I am not afraid to discuss it if necessary." Boom. The internet went into another breakdown after reading just one statement. Was Chrissy's spouse under threat from Jim? Was he going to reveal him? Or was this only a man's anguish finally being captured on camera? The fans had stopped laughing by the end of the live performance. They were afraid about what may happen next. Because of the intersection of pride, betrayal, and heartache in the hip-hop industry, words have the power to quickly become deeds. The culture was aware of it. Blogs began to warn. TV drama is no longer all that this is. This seems intimate. Dangerous individuals. As the dust settled, a last leak revealed a screenshot of a text message purportedly sent by Chrissy to a close pal. "He is free to vent whatever he wants. It's free to release anything he wants. I am no longer his at the end of the day." And he said that's what's killing him the most. The cliffhanger was thus established. Jim's audio spoke to unspoken secrets. Chrissy's husband and disobedience were implied by her silence. He was still silent. However, when he does, sources claim he's about to terminate. Everything might be destroyed by the truth. Thus, Section 2's unanswered query is straightforward but lethal. What is the new spouse of Chrissy concealing? Will it be Jim Jones who brings it to light? He was the one trending by the time the sun rose the following morning. Not simply Chrissy or Jim Jones, Chrissy's enigmatic new spouse. The internet's primary fascination was the man, but somehow gone from a little-known background character to a front-page controversy overnight. The memes were inverted. No longer was it simply hashtag Team Chrissy versus hashtag Team Jim. It was hashtag Exposet, the husband, and hashtag Who is he? And the internet keeps searching until it finds answers, until the bones are reduced to dust. Following Chrissy's wedding announcement, blurry mobile phone footage from backstage caused the first domino to fall. Jim was shown in the video rushing down a corridor with his eyes burning and his voice loud. "She's my wife now," a guy can be heard saying off camera. "Honor it." Jim's voice struck like thunder at that moment. "You are nothing more than my understudy, wife. You've been waiting for years to fill a void in your life." Even though there was no clear video of the husband, the audience gasped. That one sentence went viral on social media. It was slowed down, cut, and subtitled by fans. Everyone was eager to hear the full extent of Jim's wrath completely. The fully released audio, however, was the true grenade that followed. Jim's statements were darker, more venomous, and sharper in this rendition. "She is not saved by you. You are not her guardian. The rebound who waited too long in the wings is you. You'd best hope I don't reveal your true identity to others. Think, they're fooling me now. Hold off till they learn about you." That was no longer heartbreak. That constituted a threat. Blogs were flooded with headlines. Jim Jones claims that Chrissy's spouse is concealing his troubled history. Leaked audio points to betrayal in Jim's inner circle, ranging from the war to the love triangle. While Chrissy remained mute, Jim's spouse eventually broke the silence late that night, posting a brief, hazy Instagram live that was obviously captured in the midst of stress. His eyes showed nervousness, yet his remarks were defensive and arrogant. He looked directly into the camera and declared, "I'm not here to play games with the past. She's now my wife, for a period." Jim had his opportunity, 15 years of it. Okay. Allow him to continue sobbing into microphones if you so choose. Assume, however, that I'm afraid of what he has to say. My life and my hands are clean. Since I'm peaceful and he's chaotic, she picked me. Fans first cheered. The spouse had finally said something. However, doubters quickly overtook the comments. "Peace," one person wrote. "Then why do you sweat?" "Bullets, bro. If your life is clean, why, Jim?" said another, using the phrase "he got dirt on you." After only 6 minutes, the spouse abruptly halted the live stream by logging out in the middle of a sentence while hundreds of allegations erupted in the comments. The storm was not calmed by such unsteady performance. It put gasoline on it. If anything, Twitter detectives discovered earlier pictures of the spouse at parties connected to dips at affiliates in a matter of hours. Subsequently, there were accusations of less than clean commercial dealings. Once more, the story changed. Perhaps Jim wasn't only resentful. Perhaps he was correct. At the same time, VH1 producers were in a frenzy. Anonymous leaks indicated emergency meetings were conducted to deliberate whether to pull future videos featuring Chrissy and her husband. One insider claims that the terror was more than simply unpleasant. PIT was a liability, the insider stated. That VH1 may be punished for intentionally broadcasting a scam if Jim truly exposes him and it turns out to be accurate. The incident, according to some, was a ratings goldmine. This goes beyond a plotline, supposedly said by one executive. Purportedly, stated this is a period of culture. The turmoil wouldn't remain on television, but we can't afford to not broadcast it.